Hey everyone, and welcome back to Superboy Beyond. And this is just a very short mini episode where we give an update on the episode Knack, which we did a commentary on about 3 weeks ago from when we are recording this. And the writer of that episode / the creator of Knack left us a comment clearing some things up because we had some questions, because obviously we didn't work on the show, so we don't have a lot of these answers. And typically, if you look on IMDb for trivia and stuff, you just won't find anything on the majority of episodes. But Mark Jones says, "Hey guys, love that you keep the Superboy series alive. One day you should talk to me. I came on season 2 as the head writer and worked with Carrie Bates." We definitely want to have him on the show at some point.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Not even a question. We definitely want him on the show. He says, he created Knack and wrote both episodes that featured him. He had Gilbert in mind when he wrote the first script, and all of the dialogue was scripted, which is great that he cleared that up, because when we did our commentary, we kept saying, this feels like, typical Gilbert Gottfried, improv. And no, it wasn't the case. All the dialogue was scripted. He just had Gilbert in mind and wrote to his voice. So,
and that's always a good thing when you have a writer who can write to a specific actor / comedian's, mannerisms, ability, and their talent.
And I imagine, if Gilbert had turned the role down, they probably would have had to rewrite it, because I can't see anybody else pulling off that dialogue in quite the same way. Like, maybe it would have only been a very simple rewrite, but
the only one that could have come to mind, and they wouldn't have to do that much of a rewrite, would have been Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison would have been good, And any comedians that have sort of a manic energy would probably pull it off. Like Robin Williams could probably do it even. He would probably still be throwing in a lot of his own jokes, so it wouldn't all be scripted if he was to do it, because let's face it, you don't get Robin Williams on a project and not let him improv occasionally. He says, everyone thinks when there's great dialogue it was improvised. We writers always love to correct that, and, as you should, take credit for your work. Like, why not? Gilbert was great indeed and added his talent to bring the character alive. Love to get you the script, which I have. We would love to read that script. We only have scripts for 3 episodes currently. So.
One of which is the Alien Solution.
Yep, which is releasing tomorrow, unless this mini episode goes up a few weeks early. We'll see how it goes. Yep. But we're doing that very soon. David Nutter was the director of the first episode, who went on to win Emmys for Game of Thrones and directed many pilots of successful shows. Yeah, we are more than familiar with David Nutter's work. He is an absolute legend at this point. And it's funny, there are a whole bunch of people that started off doing shows like Superboy. Like, is it David Greenwalt, who went on to work quite closely on Buffy and Angel as well? Like, he's a really talented writer / producer.
Yeah, and the guy who directed the first Scooby-Doo movie, I think he did the second one as well, Reza Badawi, he also directed episodes of Superboy.
Wow. Yeah, so, I mean, it's one of these things where, I mean, even the composer, Kevin Kiner, I think this was literally his first gig. But
yeah, and then he went
what
on.
He's doing now. He's like,
yeah. I mean,
he's still working in the DC universe. Like, I mean, he contributed some of the score for Peacemaker, so it's he's
Titans.
Still, and Titans. Yeah, I mean, he brought back his Superboy theme for Titans. So a lot of very talented people involved in this show. He agrees with us when we say that. The 8 tracks are the 8-track thing that Andy's doing, his little money-making scheme. Yeah, he just thought the idea was ridiculous and funny, so that's why it's in there. And he points out, Andy wasn't always the brightest when it came to his scams. And, this is something that we've talked about at great length. Some of Andy's scams are really laughable. And I think the 8-track one, it's that one, and there's another one that we're in contention for. We can't decide if it's this one or this other one that's the worst scam he ever, or scheme that he ever pulled.
Which one was it?
Because I like the Kryptonite rocks, I like the glow-in-the-dark T-shirts. The 8-track was just a bad idea, but I'm sure there was another one.
The Girls of Schuster calendar.
Yeah. If nothing else, it's just a little bit creepy, These women are going to college for their education, like not to star in a pin-up calendar.
Although his idea of the glass on a chain was a pretty good idea.
I mean, you can basically buy those now, though, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you go to theme parks, they'll sell you like the cups that you can just keep refilling throughout the day. They've always got a thing around it, so you can keep it around your neck. Yeah. Andy, maybe in the real world, Andy would have been a millionaire by now because he had the idea first.
Yep.
He would have patented it and he would have been a millionaire. So yeah, some of his scams not so good, some of them actually pretty great. Another character he created for the second season was obviously Andy, so that's cool. He wrote Knack to be cartoonish and silly and over the top, which, if you notice, was kind of a running theme with season 2, larger than life, and went back to the original comics, which, Mark Jones says here that he loved the original comics as a kid, so that was a conscious effort. I like season 2 a lot more than season 1. I wouldn't say it's my favourite season, but I appreciate a lot of the stuff in it, and I wish some of those more cartoonish elements had carried forward into season 3. I think they still would have been able to pull it off. I think season 3 and 4 could have had Knack, and apparently that's the only reason probably that he didn't come back is just because he wouldn't fit the tone anymore. But I think Knack would still work.
And yet they had episodes like Out of Luck with Charlie Carmichael, and he was essentially the same kind of character as Knack.
Yeah. They still had over-the-top cartoonish characters. Like, even just look at the captain in West of Alpha Centauri, like especially at the end.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he was in Knack as well, so that's probably why I immediately thought of him. But he says they wanted to go a bit more serious, and that's why he never came back. He says he likes listening to the commentaries, and anytime you want to know any facts about season 2, reach out. And he says, as a side note, for a syndicated series, we actually had a pretty generous budget, but not all of the money went on screen. Best regards, Mark Jones. I wonder where that money went then. Maybe the guest stars.
Possibly. We'll have to ask him when we get him on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
If he can even talk about it.
I'm sure, after all these years, any non-disclosure agreements would have long since lapsed. So I can't see why he wouldn't be able to. I'm pretty sure at this point he'd be okay legally. But yeah, thank you very much, Mark, for your comment. Like we definitely will be having you on the show at some point in the future. Thank you for clearing some of that stuff up for us. Anyway, that's the end of this mini episode. Tune in again tomorrow. And we'll be watching The Alien Solution, which was, in a lot of people's opinion, the turning point for the show. It's when the show went from to actually it's not bad. So tune in again tomorrow. See you then. Goodbye.
Viacom.